You're listening to The Pipeline Show with Dean Millard and Guy Flaming on Edmonton's sports leader, TSN 1260.
The song is called Mirror, so is the CD. It's written and performed by singer-songwriter Kim Simon, who is from just outside of Edmonton. You can buy this CD at Google Play as well as iTunes. All right, Guy Flaming and Taylor Medic with you here on The Pipeline Show. Let's continue this show with... we're going to talk to Ron White, who's the president and commissioner of the Western States Hockey League. Taylor and I were kind of talking about it on our last edition of the show back on Tuesday about that the California, southeast or southwest portion of the United States where hockey is growing, and you'd think that Major Junior or the USHL or USA Hockey would want to get a high-caliber league into that market, and then we stumble across the WSHL, and we want to know more about the WSHL, so no better person to ask than Ron White, who's been the president and the commissioner for that league for the last number of years. And the finals last year featured El Paso versus Idaho. Let's take a listen to that clip from that game.
This one. Borg, Tomko. Oh, bad pass. Turnover. Borg, Pastuca scores! It's 4-3! At 1950 of the second period, the Rhinos have come all the way back. Yuri Pastuca.
The Rhinos and the Idaho Junior Steelheads in that final. Last year's, we're pleased now to be joined by Ron White. How are you today, sir?
I'm excellent. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, no, our pleasure. Absolutely our pleasure to have you on the program today. And we really want you to educate us about your league. It's not something that was at the forefront for us, but it seems like the game of the sport of hockey is growing so much in the United States and specifically in states like California that I'm not surprised to find out that there is a high caliber junior hockey league in that sort of market, but we don't know much about your league. So maybe give us the bare bones, and when did the league start?
We actually, the league started in the 93-94 season at the same time that the Anaheim Mighty Ducks took the ice in the NHL. And so this is our 22nd season. We started off with 6 teams, grew up to 12 or 13 teams, which included teams all the way up into Fairbanks, Alaska. Quickly found out that financially that type of footprint didn't work. And being a tuition-based league, at the time we were members of USA Hockey, and the tuition cap was $2,500 per player, and literally a trip to Fairbanks, Alaska, almost took the entire player tuition to get a player up there, housed, food fed, and back home again. So we quickly shrank back into the neighborhood of a half a dozen teams, and maintained our position at USA Hockey until the 2011-12 season, and went up and down the ladder with teams. At the time in 2011, we had 12 teams, and then made the business decision to relocate our league to another host opportunity.
Is that an easy decision to make when you're talking about leaving the umbrella of USA Hockey, and what are the pros and cons to doing that?
Well, it wasn't easy because we were proud members of USA Hockey. Many of our ownerships at the time were ice rink owners or ice rink managers, management companies, and so their whole business operated, or not their whole business, but a significant portion of their business operated around hockey, and the hockey was hosted under USA Hockey. So it wasn't easy. It was a 9-month process, and at the time, USA Hockey was putting in place several new rules and so on for Tier 3 hockey, which at the time was tuition-based hockey. And really the restrictions that they were putting on really would have tremendously impacted our financial model for
Right.
most of our team, because we're in the West. We have a 1,000,002 square mile footprint, and at the time we had 12 teams spread out from Texas to the Pacific Ocean to up into Colorado, Wyoming, things of that sort. So we really, one of the key to our whole business plan was to continue to expand and put teams in markets that would cut down the travel, so that we could, go from a 1-division league to a 2-division league and so on. So it was a painful decision that we had to make, but we felt we had to make it. Once they put in the restrictions and more governance at the time by the district and the affiliates at USA Hockey. So we made the decision, and I say it was a tough decision, and most of us are still avid members participating in a variety of USA Hockey programs. I mean, I just got back to my office here to be on the show because I was at a 8:40 in the morning squirt practice that my grandsons play on a squirt team here, and I coach the team.
Oh, I see.
So, and it's a USA Hockey, which we're proud of. And I spent 15 years as the Pacific District coach-in-chief for USA Hockey. So for me, it was a doubly painful, because I have a lot of friends there still to this day that I worked with, very closely for 15 years.
Ron White, the president and commissioner of the WSHL, the Western States Hockey League, joining us here on the Pipeline Show. You've now got, 28, 29 teams, 4 divisions, and covering, really, draw a line down the middle of the map in the United States, and everything west of that line, you've got teams basically throughout. What's the when it comes to, I was looking at the stats for the teams and the players in the league. I noticed a lot of European players and a lot of them undersized players, but putting up big numbers in your league. How do you get the players from Europe?
Well, it's kind of interesting. When we went off and left USA Hockey, we sat down and made some new operating rules for ourselves, which expanded the ability to take more imports than what we had previously done, and we thought we needed that to develop a higher level of hockey. And so we did that. We increased our import limits and started using player, I don't want to say the word player agents, but player representatives or whatever, where we picked up 2 and 3 imports per team from Europe, to the point now where we have almost a central scouting situation that goes to Europe and runs several tryouts during the April-May period of time and recruits import players from Russia, the Ukraine, Hungary, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, Latvia, places like that, and do a very good job of it. And we have an import limit today of 14 European players, or import players, I should say, can be on any one team, and that does not include Canadians. We consider any North American-born player, Canadian, U.S., or Mexico, a non-import player.
Okay. Do you have a lot of Mexicans in your league?
We do have some, yeah, especially down in our Texas and Arizona teams. We do have a few. There's some programs down there, and they're a growing, like a lot of countries. They're trying to grow in certain other sports, and hockey's one of them. They're restricted by the amount of ice rinks they have, but they get a few good players that need to further develop, and so they move up and play in our leagues, and frankly that's why a lot of the European players come to our league, because we are a tuition-based league. It costs them money to come and play, but because of the limited amount of development for them after the midget age brackets, the U18s and so on, they kind of, if they're not the household name as an 18 or 19-year-old, they sort of fall to adult league.
Ron White, the president and commissioner of the WSHL, joining us here on the Pipeline Show. Now, because of where you're based, you're going to be competing with the up here, the Western Hockey League, in the Canadian Hockey League, as well as the USHL. You'll be competing for players against those leagues. How often do you butt heads with those leagues, or do you have a working relationship with both of those leagues? How do things kind of play out?
Actually, we've had very good relations with the leagues that you've mentioned. We honestly, we consider the USHL for our younger players is the next level for them. Our older players, and we are probably heavily weighted in the 19 and 20-year-old. So the USHL and even the BCHL and such on, they're not necessarily looking at our 19 and 20-year-olds.
Right.
Those kids are more looking at making the college step and or going back to Europe and playing minor pro. But in our league, we have two Eastern Hockey League pro teams that own teams in our league.
Okay.
We have two USHL owners that own teams in our league. One BCHL owner who owns a team in our league. So we're well versed with those leagues. I think they understand us. We try to send our younger players in those directions. Our older players we try to send to college or get them developed so they can go back home and play at the minor pro level.
Well, interesting. That answered my next question, where players were going to go after they've played in your league. Well, Ron, we really appreciate your time today. I hope we can talk to you again down the road.
Well, I'd love to do it.
Excellent. That's sorry, Taylor. That's Ron White, the president and commissioner of the WSHL. And there's probably lots of other questions that we could send Ron's way the next time we have him on. Interesting. They limit Europeans to 14 import players per team. But listen, if you're paying to play in the league, you've probably got to do something like that to gain expand your player pool. And it seems to be working for the WSHL. All right, don't go anywhere. The two Owls are coming up next with the Saturday Sports Extra. Then Mark Majot is in at 2 o'clock. The Oil Kings in action tonight, taking on the Moose Jaw Warriors. 6 o'clock start here on TSN 1260. And they are in action again tomorrow night against Adam Brooks and the Regina Pats. That's a 3 o'clock afternoon start. Corey Graham will have the call right here on TSN 1260. Thanks to all our guests who joined us. Real quickly, we had Nate Sager, Jimmy Connolly from USCHO, Craig Button from TSN, Adam Brooks from the Pats, and Ron White from the WSHL. For Medic, I'm Flaming. Pipeline Show is back on Tuesday, everybody. Till then, see ya.